Okay, so I'm going to start the class. So, first of all, how are you? All of you, is someone new in the class? If anybody is new in the class, you can introduce yourself. Okay, so I'm going to start the today's module. So, we are going to discuss the module 7, and the title of the module 7 is Sustainable Engineering Practices. So far we have covered the 6 modules until now. So, and all of these modules are related to the different topics, and you already learned about the environmental engineering, environmental chemistry, waste and wastewater pollution, air pollution control, solid waste management, environmental impact assessment. So, today we will discuss the module 7, which is sustainable engineering practices. And after that, we have 3 more modules, 8, 9, and 10. So, we will discuss in the upcoming classes. So, moving towards the today class, yeah, the module 7 has 3 main subtopics. So, the principle of sustainable development. So, what are the principles of sustainable development? We will learn in this class, and what is meant by the life cycle assessment and the eco design. Is the purpose of the life cycle assessments, and the last subtopic will be the renewable energy technologies and the resource conservation. So this is the today's agenda, and we will learn today about the overall about the sustainable practices, that how can we improve the environment according to the today's situation, not for us but also for the next generation. So moving towards the sustainability. What is sustainability? So anybody in the class who have any idea about what is sustainability? Can you please tell me? Because I think I have already told you about the concept of sustainability, so I'm expecting the answer from the class. Yes, Rosanda, please.
Yes, ma'am. It's the on my own concept, ma'am. It's the ability to exist and in preparation for the next generation.
Yeah, exactly. That we have to use the natural resources, but within a limit, because we have to think about our next generations as well. So excellent, Rosanda. So the basically sustainability is the ability to exist and develop, because we have to do the development on side by sides, because we have to progress. So therefore we just want to use the resources just not for ourselves, because we are depleting the resources at the exponential level. But this is not the way. Okay, 1 second, I have to accept the request. So we have to live in an environment where we have no right to deplete the natural resources. So basically, the sustainable development is a concept of needs and limitation imposed by the technology and the society on the environment ability to meet the present and the future needs as well. And here is I have remembered that there is an institute known as World Commission of Environment and Development, WCED, has defined the sustainable development as a process of change in which the exploitation of the resources, the direction, investments, and the orientation are the technological developments should be all are in harmony and enhance the both current and future potential to meet the human needs. So basically, the concept of the sustainable development provides a framework for the integration of environmental policies and development, And the concept of sustainability also provides us developmental strategies having implications at national and international level. And the development should not endanger the natural systems that support the life on earth. And many people in this industrial world today operate with the frontier mentality, which is a human centered mentality. And they are just thinking like that the world has an unlimited supply of resources for the human use, which is totally wrong. And the second, that humans are apart from the nature, which is also a false conception. And sometimes we think that nature is some things to overcome, because nature and these type of the resources has a limit, so we have to use them within a limit. So with this attitude towards the nature and technological advanced, increase our ability to the earth's resources, and thus it will increase the damage to the environment. So basically we have to realize that we are growing very fast and we are depleting the resources at the same time. But we have to grow, we have to do the development, we have to progress, but we can use the renewable resources. I will tell you later in this class that what are renewable resources. So we have to focus on the renewable resources. So basically, the concept of sustainable development leads us to the new resource consumption strategies, that we have to develop the new resources through research. And basically, we have the different labs and different scientists are still busy in creating the different renewable sources. So we have to divert our path. All right. So the sustainable development also requires the meeting the basic needs. Again, meeting the basic needs. So which are of people are deprived the in this world. So people are more concerned about the basic needs instead of the environment. So we have to provide the basic needs, and after that we will expect from the humans that they will care about the environment. And second, otherwise in the world in which the poverty and inequality and these type of pandemics are occurring, so that will definitely leads to the ecological damage, ecological destruction. Okay, so this is the concept of sustainability, and these are the three pillars of the sustainability in which we have to integrate the approach in which we have the environmental, social, and economic perspective. So we have to protect the environment, and we have to apply such type of strategies which are socially acceptable, which are applicable to the society, and which are ultimately give us the economic benefits, because any country does not any country wants to adopt such type of strategies which are economically beneficial for them, and they wants to improve the GDP as well. So this concept of sustainability, whenever you will introduce any strategy based on the sustainability, you have to keep in mind these three perspectives. So basically, these are the main principle of the sustainable development, in which you have to live in environment within certain environmental limits, and we have to achieve a sustainable economy, and we have to promote the good governance. We can use the sound science responsibly and ensure a strong healthy environment for the society. So I will discuss one by one that what is the principle of the sustainable development. Okay, so living within environmental limits means we have to respect the limits of the planet. We have to respect the limits of the environment and the resources and the biodiversity to improve our environment and ensure that the natural resources needed for the life, and we have to left something for the future generations. So what is meant by the term biodiversity? Can anybody please tell me what is biodiversity? yes, something in your mind. So you should you please come forward and tell me what is meant by biodiversity.
Something to
Basically, in my
be,
opinion, is
something to
that
be,
they all it's a different kind of the life. You will find out one area in a specific area.
Yes, the
Hello?
biodiver yes, biodiversity basically means the diversity of the life, the diversity of flora and fauna. So yeah,
The different kind of life.
yes, can you speak more because your name is not mentioned here. So can you please tell me your name? You are appearing on the screen as unknown. Want to tell me?
I am Sayed. I am Sayed.
You
I
are
am Sayed.
Sayed.
My name is Sayed. Yes.
Sayed. All right, Sayed. So tell me about biodiversity. You are telling something. I want to know.
Okay. You can carry on. Continue.
Yeah. So basically, these are such our ecological interactions that we do not respect the voice of the individual ownerships and the resources they make. So we have to do that. For instance, I want to give an example that the irrigation practices, which is we can use the water blindly, and we are using the pesticides and the fertilizer, herbicides. So that will all result in the contamination of the soil, and that will ultimately contaminate the whole food chain. So this is very dangerous for us and also for the future generations. So this is not you are not promoting the sustainability, and we are involved in it. And the basically dependence of us on the is we are totally dependent on the nature, so we have to respect it and we have to develop new strategies to improve it and to protect it. Okay, so moving towards the next one, that we have to ensure a strong, healthy environment for the society by meeting the diverse needs of all the people in existing and the future communities, promoting personal well-beings, and we have to develop a social cohesion among all the individuals so that their motive will be the same. So, because if the society collectively care about the environment and about the resources, so that will that will give you a fruitful result. So basically, the social cohesion gives you the equal opportunities for all. And the next one is achieving a sustainable economy. So, by building a strong, stable, and sustainable economy which provide the prosperity and opportunities for all, and in which there is not any kind of the discrimination, all the things will be on very transparent level. So that type of the society will flourish and promote the sustainable economy. And you can say that the social cost falls on those who impose them, and the efficient resources used is, you know we have to use such type of the resources which are efficient, which gives us more results by utilizing the less input as well. So the next is the promoting good governance. So actively promoting the good governance, because the politics is very uh, important for progress of any country. So if the political conditions are stable and the politicians are interested in improving the environment and in promoting the sustainable practices, so we have to be very selective while choosing our government. So we have to provide good policies, rules and regulation, and we have to ensure the implementation of such type of the rules and regulations for promoting and protecting our environment. and our resources as well. And we have to use the sound science means you have to spend the maximum amount on the research so that the scientists will work on improving such type of strategies, because scientist is the base which can create and which can gives the new products to the society. So they obviously, when they innovate or when they develop, or when they invent anything which is, scientifically approved, so that will automatically gives benefit to the society and to the economy of that country as well. So here are some strategies of the environmental sustainability, that how can we achieve the environmental sustainability. So first is the biodiversity conservation. We have to stop hunting, we have to stop deforestation, because we are destroying the habitat of the animal and the birds. So we have to conserve the flora and fauna of the country or we are working in or we are living in. And we have to produce such type of manufacturing process, or we have to present such type of manufacturing process in which the regenerative capacity must be high, must be it gives you the end product. You can take, you can understand the regenerative capacity, like if the end product, the end byproduct serve as a raw material or serve as a first step, so it will gives you a cycle of the something which is producing in any industry. So that means that it produce the regenerative capacity, that this process has the regenerative capacity, because that uh, manufacturing process gives you the raw material as well. Or you can say that you can use the byproducts for other purposes. So that type of systems are always beneficial for the environment and for the resources and for the whole e- economy, because they are saving the cost of the process, and they are gaining the more profits by the same process. And we have to adopt the 3R principle, that we have to recycle, reuse, and reduce the such type of practices which are depleting the resources. And we have to fulfill the social needs. We have to we have to promote such type of activities which helps in improving the lifestyle and the quality of the life for the citizens. And again, we have to limit the use of non renewable resources, and we have to promote the renewable resources, so that the non renewable resources will save from, from damage, and people should divert from using the non renewable resources. This is the entire framework in which, if you follow the principle of sustainability, if you are inventing or if you are installing the sustainable design in your industry. For instance, if you are working in any industry, or if you are working in textile industry or in coal industry, so if the such type of techniques or such type of technologies are applied in that industry, so that their design is very beneficial, that it gives the byproducts, it saves the energy, or you can say that it gives you the more output, and the design use is using the last input, so that design is sustainable design, and that will ultimately result of the sustainable engineering. So we have to adopt such type of technologies, we have to work on that. And again, we have to modify the processes so that we get the maximum products. And again, that will affect our lifestyle, because it automatically reduce the carbon footprints, it reduce the consumption of the energy, it saves the fuel, so that will automatically change our lifestyle. So here I'm going to discuss the principle of sustainability one by one. So first of all, the intergenerational equity, because the purpose of this principle that we have to ensure the equality among all the generations which are living their life present and which are our upcoming generations. So we have to ensure that the development meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. The second principle says to us that we have to invent integrated approach of the environmental, social and economic goals, because we are striving for a balanced approach which basically demands for integrating economic growth, environmental protection and the social equity. The third principle is the precautionary principle, which basically demands that we have to prevent environmental or human harm, so and the animal harms. So if someone cause and they are obviously they are getting the effects, such type of effects, so we are not such, until now we are not scientifically established till now, so we are still working on it. The next principle is very interesting to me, which is polluter pays principle, because which ensures that those who cause the pollution or environmental damage will bear the cost of managing it and preventing harm. Because I think this is the principle which work in any society. Because if you are polluting the environment, you have to pay for that, or if you are damaging such type of environmental assets, you have to provide such type of financial aid to prevent such type of harms. So here I want to give an example that if any industry or any factories or any type of the you know f- uh, enterprise which are contributing to the air pollution, which are emitting such type of the greenhouse gases, so they have to pay for that, because they have certain limit for the emissions of such type of gases. They have a permit for a week, for a month, that they have to pay for the extra emissions. So different industries applied for that permit that we are going to install such type of industry in this area, and we are producing this product, and we will emit the greenhouse gases at this level, or so they will, obviously they will pay for that. But again, I want to say that the greenhouse gases is very dangerous, and they are become the cause of the global warming and the climate change. So we have to ban it. We have to ban such type of the factories. Either we should warn them that you have to change the entire technology. They can go for the hybrid systems. They can go for the sustainable designs. So we have to do something very strictly to protect our environment. The next one is the sustainable resource management. So this is totally the duty of the government of any country, that they have to invent such type of policies which can use the natural resources wisely and efficiently to ensure the long-term availability and health. This is the entire process is the resource management is the responsibility of the government. The next one is the public participation. So we have to encourage the involvement of all the stakeholders, including local communities and the local communities, the environmentalists, are the journalists, and the politicians as well. These are all the stakeholders of of any environment. So we have to ensure that participation and the involvement of all the stakeholders in decision making processes related to the sustainable development. And we have to restore the biodiversity and the ecosystems to maintain their essential functions and the services for the well-beings of all life forms. And we have to ensure the transparent processes. We have to ensure the equality and the social justice. So we have to promote the fairness and reduce the disparities within and between the countries by ensuring the equality, access to the resources and the opportunities. Because the developing countries are always in bad conditions, and all the developed countries are, at the top of the list in producing the greenhouse gases. And I have mentioned in the previous class that USA and China, these are the two major countries which are contributing to the emission of the greenhouse gases. And again, their economy is very high, but they have to think about the environment. They have to think about the other people who are living in mm, developing countries. And again, we have to introduce such type of the processes in which there is integration of the environmental cost, that we have to incorporate the true environmental cost of the goods and the services into their market prices to reflect their impact on the planet. That we don't have to cover such type of processes. Uh, we have to incorporate the true picture. We have to depict the true picture in which they are damaging the planet. We have to be very honest with our jobs and with the environment as well. So these are the basic principles of the sustainable development, that we have to ensure the equality, we have to ensure the polluter pay principle, the sustainable resource management, and we have to use the integrated approach of environmental, social, and the economic goals. We have to ensure the public participation, and we have to ensure the equality and the social justice. So I will ask from any one of you that what are the principles of the sustainable development. All right, so be attentive, class. Okay, so next, what again, there is the adoption of cleaner technologies. We have to invest in and we have to utilize such type of technologies that affect our environment at minimal level, and which promote the sustainability. And we have to adopt such type of practices which are flexible, and we have to implement the flexible policies that can be adjusted and that can be based on a new information and the changing the circumstances to improve the sustainability outcomes. Because if we are stick to the our ancestral methods, or we have if we are stick to the conventional methods, we are totally fail in achieving the sustainability. So we have to adopt the innovative and the new processes and the new way of management. So only by adopting such type of new methods we can achieve the sustainability. And again, we have to protect and restore the biodiversity. Okay, so here I am going to end the first topic, which is what is sustainability and what are the principle of the sustainability. So I am going to start the next subtopic, which is life cycle assessment and eco design. So first of all, we have to know that what is life cycle assessment. So basically, it is a systematic process to evaluate the environmental impacts, which basically cover the entire life cycle, including raw material extraction, manufacturing, distribution, use, and what is the end of that product. Okay, so the last stage will be the end of life. This is the life cycle assessment. So basically, the life cycle analysis allow us to assess beyond the carbon footprints and all the potential environmental impacts of a system or a product or good or any services which are impacting our environment. So we have to evaluate it, we have to assess it. So we are going to do an assessment of any process, that either that process is producing environmental impacts or not, and we have to judge that throughout the entire process, throughout its existence. We are going to check that. And what is eco design? Eco design is defined as the integration of the environmental aspects into the product design and the development to reduce the adverse environmental impacts throughout the product life cycle. For instance, if any products results in producing or in are producing or causing the adverse environmental impact, so we have to present such type of eco design which are environmental friendly and which are reducing that type of hazardous environmental impacts. So what are the stages of the life cycle assessment? So for instance, you are environmental engineer, or if you are environmental inspector, you are going for inspection in any industry or in any factory or in any area. So you are going to assess the life cycle of any product. So you will go through these 5 stages. First of all, you have to check the what type of raw material they are using. So either they are extracting the raw material from the non-renewable resources, and what is the impact of those raw material on the environment or on the resources. The second step, if you are satisfied from the raw material extraction, then you will visit their industry or their working area. So you have to know what are the effects of processing and the production. So what are the effects of that manufacturing process? Either that process is generating too much wastewater, or either that product is the result of the solid waste, and the solid waste comes from the manufacturing of that product. And if you are satisfied from the manufacturing process, then you will again, if you saw all the steps of that process, and you are satisfied from all the steps, and you are satisfied that they are not putting the wastewater into any water body, and they have the proper wastewater treatment plants, and they have proper machinery which are utilizing less energy, and they are emitting less gases, and they are not polluting the air, water, and soil. So if you are satisfied from that, so that stage will be successfully assessed. So you will go for the third stage, which is distribution. Distribution is the transportation of that good or transportation of that product to the market. So you will see that either that, okay, if we take the example of milk, so you will see that either that milk is properly packed, or that are that properly stored, because that milk will supply to the market, and that will consumed by the human beings. So either that you are satisfied from the transportation, or either you are satisfied from the process of distribution. So for instance, you can take the example that if the distribution process uh, are putting some type of errors, are for instance their trucks are not developed, or their trucks are emitting the smoke, and which is basically contaminated the air. So you will you will warn them that you have to improve the transportation, and you have to improve the distribution stage, because I'm not satisfied from the conveyance you are using for transporting the goods. So if they pass the third stage, so you will go for the next, which is use phase. The step is the use phase, in which uh, you have to see that either they are implementing the environmental protection strategies or not. And again, if that product has utilized by the people, so what either that packaging is recyclable or not, either they are reusing reusable or not, or either their disposal is difficult or not, or either it will take 10 years to decompose, or either it will take 200 years to decompose. So that will be a very alarming situations. So you have to assess the entire process of any product. So at the end you will give the report to the seniors, or you will write the report about that industry, about that product, and you will present the report to the environmental protection agency or any industry in which you are working. And the next is the what are the benefits of the life cycle assessment. So, and it gives an aid to the decision making process, because life cycle assessment allows to objectively evaluate the potential which impact which impacts by the generation or the generated process, and they allow us to identify the certain elements whose contribution in terms of impacts is major and offers a global vision, and thus guides the choices of the actions, that what we have to do to improve the environment, or what we have to do to improve the life cycle of any product or of any industry. And it also allows us to reduce the cost, and it basically favors the reduction of the resources consumption and the reduction of the transport and the waste, that will ultimately result in the saving money and in reducing the cost of that product. The next one is the increasing the customer satisfaction. The LC allows us to offer the eco design products that meet the requirement of the consumer who are increasingly concerned about the environment. For instance, if you are a little bit careful about the environment, if you are just a common man and you cares for the environment, and if you are if you are drinking if you're drinking any cold drink, like if you're drinking any juices, so if you see that oh okay, that packaging is biodegradable, so you will feel the internal satisfaction. So it automatically increases the customer satisfaction, and that customer will feel happy buying that product for the next time and the next times, and they think that okay, we are not polluting the environment, so it will give the inner peace and the inner satisfaction to the customers, and it will ultimately results in purchasing more products from that industry, and it will give the profit to the industry as well. Apart from that the LCA gives us, that we have to distinguish oneself from the competition, because it allows to innovate and to follow the progress of the competition, but also to improve its brand image and its employer brand. When it is integrated into a corporate social responsibility approach, so that people will think, oh right, that brand is highly concerned about the environment, so it will automatically distinguish you from your competitors. And the next is that it improves the quality of the product. It allows to meet the environmental regulation, environmental policies, and it allows us to meet the environmental criteria and the standards, and gives us basically they are contributing to the extend the life of products and the services. They are contributing the extension of the life of products. And if we talk about the design, for instance, the analysis has enabled the creation of the polymerides that can be modified rather than the pushed, instead of eliminating replacing. So it is possible to make them evolve instead of diminishing that type of products. There is always the way of evolving the new products. So LCA basically applies to all industrial sectors. Among the car manufacturing, it has encouraged the use of the lighter material and improvement of the vehicle aerodynamics to reduce the fuel consumptions. So these are the real life time examples, and these are the practical examples of LCA, that they assess their product and the LC of the Apple and the LC of the Nestle. So what is the result of that? that and Nestle and the basically the Apple, they are reusing electronic items. They are extracting the internal elements and they are incorporating into the another one. And this is confirmed research about Apple and the Nestle, and they are saving the energy and they are reducing the fuel consumption, which basically led to the environmental policies to encourage the insulation of the energy intensive buildings. So the energy intensive buildings, if they are building any industry, so they can construct the building by using the insulating of the energy intensive buildings. Okay, so this is the LCA that we have to assess the manufacturing process, and we have to do the certain compulsory steps to improve the process, so that at the end you say that all right, the life cycle assessment process is successful for that, for the Nestle and for the Apple as well. You can go to the Google and search it, that why the LCA and how the LCA improve the manufacturing process of the Nestle and the Apple, and how that will benefit to the environment and how they are reusing it. Okay, the third subtopic is the renewable energy technologies, and the resource conservation. So, can anybody from the class will tell me what is renewable energy technologies? Uh, is anyone here who is listening to me? Yes, Rosando? Uh, or anyone?
Yes,
Yes, Rosando, can you tell me
actually,
about the what?
in the Philippines, uh, in our place, ma'am, in the Philippines, we have this this windmill, we have this generating energy, and this solar power, and this geothermal plant. So I don't know if it is related to that.
Yes, exactly. The solar energy is an example of the renewable energy technology, and which is very popular nowadays. And anyone else apart from the solar energy, what are the other ways of renewable energy technologies?
Wind energy and hydro energy.
Yes, hydrothermal energy and the wind energy and the solar energy. And we have two more, and I will tell you about the two more, that what are the main five types of renewable energies which are currently operating in different parts of the world, and how that energies will improve the environment, and how that type of energies will successful in generating the electricity and the heat as well. So, moving towards the third one, the third subtopic is the renewable energy technology and the resource conservation. So, basically, the renewable energy technologies is an umbrella term that stands for the energy production using the renewable energy resources like solar, wind, water, and the biomass and the geothermal heat. So, students, you have mentioned the first three, which are solar, wind, and water. And we have two more types of energies, which first one is the biomass and the second one is the geothermal heat. So, there are total five types of renewable energies. Resources, or you can say there are five types of renewable energy technologies. So, there is an international energy agency call these resources as renewable energy resources. And the energy from such resources that are naturally replenished is known as renewable energy, because they are not built in any power station because their source is natural. So these are renewable resources. They are using the renewable resources. And again, a renewable energy system is then seen as the actual power plant that convert the renewable energy carriers at the source into electrical, mechanical, or thermal energy for use by the consumer. Here is the example that in 2017, the renewable energy accounted for 13.6% of the global energy market, of which biofuels and the waste contributed 67.9%, and the hydrothermal are successful in generating the energy by 18.5%, and the wind energy and the geothermal energy produces 5.1 and the 4.5% energy respectively. And the last is the solar and the tidal combined. They are combined generate the 3.9% of the energy of the global market. So it's a very successful news. That it's a very happy news that the renewable energy resources are so successful creating the energies without contaminating the environment. Nowadays, in different countries, people use the solar panels at the domestic level as well, and they are because the solar panels are designed in such a way for the domestic purpose or for the industrial purposes. So we will learn in the next slide. So here we already discussed with you people that there are five types of this renewable energies: the biomass energy which comes from the plant, the solar energy which comes from the sun, the geothermal energies which comes from the land, and the wind energy which comes from land, and the last one is the hydropower energy, which is the result of the utilizing the water as a source of the electricity. So towards the next one, solar energy. Basically, in the solar energies, we are using the solar panels and we are utilizing and generating the solar energy. So basically, the solar power is a renewable and infinite energy resource that creates no harmful greenhouse gas emission. As long as the sun continues to shine, the energy will be released. And the carbon footprints of the solar panel is very minute, so they last for over 25 years, and the materials used in these panels are recyclable, so the carbon footprint continue to shrink. So I want to tell you that how the solar power discovered. So basically in 17th century, men used the sunlight to light the fires by reflecting the sun rays onto the shiny objects. And later, the Greeks and the Romans basically harnessed, the solar power with the mirrors to the light. So these are the basically invention of the Greeks and the Romans. And after that, a French physician, Edmond, basically utilizes the photovoltaic cells and experiments with a cell made up of metal electrodes in a conducting solution. And after that, in 1954, in at the Bell's lab, the Dr. Calvin Filler basically is a person who used the first solar cell. So how do the solar panel works? So we are focusing that about the working of these type of the solar panels, because I'm assuming that I'm we have the different environmental engineers, so they are more interested in the working process, in the manufacturing process. So I will tell you one by one that how these type of energies are, how these type of the resources are working, and how these are manufacturing the electricity. So first of all, solar panels are usually made from the silicon or any other semiconductor material which are installed in a metal panel frame with a glass casing. When this material is exposed to the photon of the sunlight, or you can say that when this material exposed to the sun Then this material is exposed to the photons of the sunlight, and it releases the electron and produce an electric charge. So this photovoltaic charge creates the electric current, specifically direct current. So because we have two types of currents, that one is alternating current and the second one is direct currents. So if you are using the direct current in solar panels, so the basically these type of the electric current is produced by exposing these type of solar plates in the sun, and they releases the electrons and produce as an electric charge. Basically the electric current is the movement of the electrons in the wire. So it's the same process in the solar panels. So this direct electricity is then converted to the alternating current by an inverter. So an inverter is installed in it, which are converting the DC, means direct current, into alternating current. And then the AC is basically the type of electrical current used when you plug the appliances into the normal wall sockets. So if you see this example, light from the sun is made up of tiny particles called photons. Photons are these small packets of the lights, which we are known as the photons. Photons basically hits the solar panel, knocking the electron free from the silicon atoms within the solar cells. So when the rays hit on the solar panels, it will extract or it will knock out the electrons free from these silicon atoms, and then these loose electron are now free to move and creating an electric current from the positive and negative charge now present, and they pass through the layers of the solar cells. After that, the electric current flows to the edge of the panel into a conductive wire, which lead to the inverter. And again, the inverter converts the direct current to the alternating current, which is what is we used to provide the power to the house or to any industry. So this is the entire process of converting the sunlight into electricity. This electricity then transfers to the building if the solar panels are connected to the utility meter. The excess electricity is transferred to the utility grid. This causes the meter to run backward, creating the property for the surplus generation. So this is the precaution for the utilizing the solar panels. So in this technology, we are using the photovoltaic cells, solar thermal systems, and the benefits is that we have the sunlight abundantly. We don't have to pay any fee or any charge or any cost in using the sunlight, because sunlight is a natural resource, and it reduces the greenhouse gases, which is a very good news to the environment, and which is protect our environment, and its cost is very low. The operating cost, the maintenance cost is very low, and the challenge is we have to invest initially, because we have to spend at the first step, we have to spend for the installation of these solar panels, we have to purchase these type of solar panels. So the initial cost is always there for the solar energy. So before moving towards the wind energy, I want to tell you that, and I want to also ask you, can solar power be generated on a cloudy day? So what do you think? Solar panels are successful in generating the electricity on cloudy day or not? What do you think?
Not, ma'am.
Anyone else apart from Mr. Darshad?
No, ma'am. In clouding weather, solar panel does not work.
Okay, so the answer is it can generate electricity, because the solar power only requires some level of daylight in order to harvest the sun energy. So we don't need very high quantity or the very high sunlight for generation of the electricity. If there is a very if the solar plates have enough amount of sunlight, they will produce. But on a rainy day, they will not work. But on any cloudy day in which they are exposing to the minute amount of the sunlight, they are capable of generation of small energy. And again, the next question is, who are the largest producer of the solar power worldwide currently? Which country? Okay, it become easy like that. Which country is the largest producer of solar power worldwide? The answer is very simple.
China.
Yes, you got 10 by 10. The China is the largest producer of the solar power electricity generation in the world. And the second, anybody from the class, who is the second one? It's also very
Second
easy.
one maybe America.
Yes, second one is the America. And the third one, I have the five countries on the list. Top five countries who are generating their solar powers. Okay, I'm going to tell you. The third one is the Japan, and the third country is the Japan, and the fourth one is the Germany, and the fifth one is the India. These are the five top countries in the world which are producing the solar power worldwide. So, Mr. Arshad, you got 20 by 20. You got two answer correct, and you have to remember the other three countries for the rest of the lecture. That the okay. So, Mr. Arshad, can you now tell me the top five countries which are producing the solar power worldwide? Because your knowledge is increased
Mm.
now.
China, America, Japan, Germany, and India.
Yes. So I feel really happy when I feel that my students are learning something new. So these are the five, because apart from the China and the America, the Japan is the country which is very sophisticated nation, and their development is incredible. When you visit the Japan, you feel amazed because they are developing their country on exponential level. At a very speedy, their speed is very high because they are progressing at exponential level. Okay, so the next one is the wind energy. So what type of machines or what type of technology is we are using? So this is wind turbines. We can install the onshore or the offshore, and there. Okay, I'm going to discuss the how does the wind energy work, and then I will discuss the benefits and the challenges. So basically, wind is a form of the solar energy caused by a combination of three events. For instance, number one is the sun unevenly heating the atmosphere, and the rotation of the earth is also helping the generation of the wind energy. So how does the wind flows and how does the speed of the wind affects the generation process? So the wind flows pattern and the speeds vary greatly across the world. So we have to modify it by the bodies of the water, vegetation, and the difference in the terrestrial area. And the human use this wind flows or the motion energy for many purposes. For instance, they are using the wind energy for selling, for for flying kites, for the parachutes, and for generation of the electricity. So the term wind energy and the wind power both describe the process by which the wind is used to generate the mechanical power or the electricity. So this mechanical power can be used for the specific task such as grinding grain or the pumping water or a generator, which can convert this mechanical power into the electrical uh, energy. So a wind turbine turns the wind energy into the electricity using the aerodynamic force from the rotator blades. So if you see the slide, so here you see that there are three blades which are attached to the turbine. So this basically rotating blades, which you can say that like the wings of any helicopter. When these rotating blades, when the winds flow across the blades, the air pressure on one side of the blade decreases and the other side is the air pressure is increased. So the difference in the air pressure across the two sides of the blades create both lift and the drag. So there is a drag on one side of the wing and there is the lift on the another side of the wing. So the force of the lift is stronger than the drag, and this causes the rotator to the spin and the rotator connects to the generator. So the either the generator connects directly or to a shaft or a series of the gears. So you must remember that either the gear will connect directly or indirectly. So that speed up the rotation and allows for a physical smaller generators. So this translation of the aerodynamic force to the rotation of the generators creates the electricity. Okay, so here I'm going to discuss from the image as well, that wind blows from past rotating the turbines and their blades, and the kinetic energy is transformed into the mechanical energy. The kinetic energy is basically energy which is due to the motion, to the energy uh, is the result of the motion of these blades. So the air pressure built between these blades, and on one side of these blades is the high air pressure, on the other side of the fair there is a low air pressure. So the air pressure basically results in generating the uh, lift and the drag, and always the lift is on the high surface and the lift is basically stronger than the drag, which causes the rotator to spin. And again, you can say that a gearbox spins a generator to produce electricity. Sometimes we use direct attachment of the spin to the generator. Sometimes we use the gearbox. And then we have the transformer, which convert the electricity to the appropriate voltage. Means that transformer is converting that direct current into alternating current. And then the electricity can then be stored or transported to the grid for the distribution. It's a very simple process. So what are the benefits? It has very low operating cost. It is scalable. You can install the turbines in any site which is suitable for that, uh, which has high concentration of the air blowing, or the air blowing is very good for that site. It is a clean energy, but always we have to do the initial investment for, and it is a very site specific. So we have to be very careful about the selection of the site for installation of the wind turbines. And it always impacts on the wildlife, because these blades are very dangerous for the birds and for the other wildlife. So this is the challenge which comes for using the wind energy. So the next is the geothermal energy. So before moving towards the next slide, I want to tell you that the wind types of the wind turbines, that we have the two basic types. The one is the horizontal axis, and the second one is the, so we have the horizontal axis and we have the vertical axis wind turbines. And we can use according to the location, that either the horizontal wind turbine is suitable or either the vertical turbines is suitable for the location. And what are the applications of the wind turbines? The modern wind turbines can be used on the land-based wind, offshore wind, or the distributed winds, and they are very, you know, helpful in generating the clean energy. The next one is the geothermal power plants. So basically, the geothermal power plants means geothermal energy is the heat energy comes from the earth, because the word geo means earth and the thermal means heat. So the geothermal means that energy is coming from the earth, and these geothermal resources are reservoirs of the hot waters that exist are the human made at varying temperature and the depths below and the earth's surface. Wells ranges from the few feet to the several miles deep can also be worked as a geothermal energy resources, which can be drilled into the underground reservoirs to tap the steam and very hot water that can be brought to the surface for the use in a variety of the application. So we can use such type of the hot waters or the ground resources to pump the heat. So how does it work? How does it work for that? So how the we can generate the geothermal power. So the deep underground, the presence of the hot rocks, fluids, and permeability, that is the ability for the fluid to move among the rocks, offer the conditions from which the electricity can be generated using the natural or the human-made permeability and the fractures. The fluid flows through the hot rock, absorbing the heat from the rocks that can be drawn up through the well to the earth surface. That heat energy is then converted to the stream, which drives the generators to produce the electricity. So basically, the geothermal resources, such as the natural resources, which are occurring underground, which are occurring under as an underground reservoir of the hot water at the stable, uh, the stable temperature of the subsurfaces. So can you please, guys, give me 1 minute? Okay, so the next one is these geothermal heat pumps provide the heating and cooling using the ground as a heat sink, and they absorb the excess heat when the above ground temperatures are warmer. So these underground reservoirs are used as absorbance of such type of the heat, and which is basically the direct heating and the cooling system, and we can use the direct geothermal energies. It is very firm and flexible source of using the electrical energy. So when we see the process, in first step we are pumping the hot water from the underground and turned into the steam into the flash tanks. So you can see there is a hot water and we are pumping the hot water into the tank. In the second step, we have to use that steam to turn the turbine. We are using the steam to turning on the turbine, to running the turbines. And after that, the turbines turn the generator, which provide the electricity. So the electricity is then exported to the grid. And again, there is a system for cooling the water through the injection wells, and where we can maintain the temperature on underground, the surface of the earth. All right. So the geothermal energy, geothermal power plants. We have to need to install the geothermal power plants. We have to install the ground source heating pumps. We have to locate the underground hot water reservoirs, and their benefits. They are reliable. Their emissions are very low, and they are generating the small footprints on the land, but they have the geographically limitations and the high upfront cost. Apart from the cost, they are damaging the uh, groundwater which we are using for the drinking purposes, and they are damaging the hydrogeochemistry of the land and the hydrogeochemistry of the soil. So these are, you can say that they have this drawback, which is very dangerous to the environment. So the next one is how the hydropower work. The next energy is the hydropower energy. And after that, I will discuss the biomass energy. And after that, there will be a small discussion. And then I will end the lecture. So the hydrothermal power energy, in which the water is stored to the reservoir. And then the turbine is turned by the forcing of the falling water. And the generator is turned by the turbine and produces the electricity. You know, you can see there is a reservoir, And then there is a turbine which is generating. The generator is turned by turbines and producing the electricity, and then the electricity is exported to the grid or to the railway station or to the, sorry, the power station of the electricity. So apart from that, about the hydropower, I want to tell you that the hydroelectric power is produced with movement of the water, because the source of the hydroelectric power is water. So the hydroelectric power plants are usually located on or near a water resource. So the volume of the water flows and the change in the elevation or the fall of the water is often referred to as head from one point to another, which determine the amount of the available energy in moving the water. So in general, we can say that the greater the water flow, the higher is in the head, and then the more energy will be produced. So that if the water flow is high, and then it will produce more electricity or the more energy. So at the hydropower plant, water flows through a pipe or a penstock and then pushes against it and thus turning the blades into the turbine that spins to power a generator to produce the electricity. And it is a very conventional technique to use the because it's the most old form of using the renewable energy, and we can use the rivers and such type of the water storage system for producing the electricity. And again, we have to build the dams, we have to run off the river system, and we have to pump the storage of the storage water system. Their benefits that they are reliable, they are flexible, and they are emitting low emissions. But their challenge is they are producing the ecological impacts, and they are displaced. They are, because the dam is very huge, so always result in displacement of the communities, the displacement of the residential local people, and the high initial cost. The construction of the dam is not a very easy process. It requires a huge budget for construction of the any dam. So the hydropower, which is very popular in different countries, is because they are using the different types of the hydroelectric storage system, where the water is pumped from a water source up to a storage reservoir at a higher elevation. The water is released from the upper reservoir to power the hydro turbines located below the reservoir. So the turbines are, the level of the turbine is low, and the water which are upcoming is coming from the high level. And then they usually pump the water to the storage. You can see in the picture that the water is pumping to the turbine, because turbine will uh, turn, and and they'll generate the electricity. So the next is the biomass energy. The biomass energy, that is energy from the plant. So basically, the biomass energy is basically the energy comes from the biomass which is used to produce the electricity. Like for example, there are the three ways to release the energy from the biomass. The one is the bacterial decay, and the second one is the conversion to the gas and the liquid fuels. So the bacterial decomposition is basically the anaerobic digestion, in which the organic material such as animal dung or the savage is collected in oxygen-free tank. Anaerobic means that bacteria will degrade or decompose the reservoir in the absence of the oxygen. And then this biomass can also serve the substitute for the fossil fuels. So biomass is a clean source, and the fossil fuel is has huge carbon footprint. So you can use the biomass instead of coal, oil, or gas. So basically, this combustion or this decomposition of anaerobic bacteria, where the material is decomposed by the anaerobic bacteria that produce the methane. Methane, the methane is a gas, a biogas, and the other byproducts to form a renewable natural resources which can be purified and used to generate the electricity. And you can see that this is the technology we are using: the combustion, gasification, or anaerobic digestion. And their benefits is they are utilizing the waste. So it is performing the dual action, that they are minimizing the waste, and at the same time the biomass energy is giving us the clean source of energy, and they are generating the electricity and it reduces the carbon footprints, and they are using the diverse feedstock, like we can use the manure or we can use the other waste for generation of electricity. Their challenge is they are creating the air pollution, and they need a huge land usage, and the feedstock supply, we have to supply the feedstock for generation of electricity. So that is the end of the 5 types of the allergies we have discussed so far. So again, the last topic is the energy conservation, that how can we conserve the electric energy, how can we conserve the resources. So basically the efficient use and the management of the natural resources to prevent the depletion, and basically their goal is to use the sustainable resources for the future generations and reduce the environmental impacts. So what are the strategies for the resource conservations? So first one is the efficient resource use, that we are optimizing the use of the material and energy in production and consumption, and we have to reuse and the recycle. We have to introduce such type of programs which are offering the recycling, and which are offering the new design for the products. And we have to implement the practices like the crop rotation, that if our crop is utilizing more water, so you have to sow seeds for the next crop which is require the low water. So always in the villages there is a rotation of the crops. So if you are cultivating the wheat, then you have to cultivate the mustard plant for the next 6 months. So there are conservation through the tillage, and you have to manufacture, or you have to construct the organic farms. The next one is the water conservation. You can use the efficient source of the irrigation. For instance, you can use the reusable water for the irrigation purpose, or you can install the tube wells through which you can save the water when there is no need to irrigate the crops or to irrigate the land. You can fix the leaks, you can promote the water saving appliances and the water saving practices, and you can conserve the energy by improving the energy efficiency in buildings and transport and the industries. So these are the ways through which you can save the resources like water, like soil by the crop rotation. You can adopt the sustainable agriculture, and you can conserve the energy by using the energy efficient uh, walls of the building, and you can use the hybrid vehicles in transportation and the industry. So the natural conservation of the energies is basically increasing the economic value by destination, and by the decreasing the competition, by the flood control, biodiversity. These are all these ways which gives us a platform for conservation of the natural resources. For instance, the flood control, the natural resource conservation. For example, if we are conserving the trees, so trees anchoring power and penetration power is very high. So the flood is automatically controlled, and we are protecting the flora and fauna. So we are protecting the natural resources by conserving the biodiversity, and we are, we are conserving the environment by reducing the carbon sequence, by reducing the carbon footprints by carbon restoration. Carbon restore sequestration means we are capturing the carbon by the soil, and again we are improving the water quality, air quality, and we are improving the process of pollination, which gives the new varieties of the flowers and the new varieties of the plants, and we are creating the aesthetic beauty and the recreational activities which automatically results in the conservation of the natural environment. So this is the end of the lecture, and I'm going to conclude that this lecture, that the renewable energy and the resources conservation are the critical for the sustainable development. So we have to adopt such type of practices which lead to the cleaner, which are used to the cleaner technology, which are more resilient and sustainable for the future. And we have to collectively efforts from the we have to have efforts not only individually, but uh, we have to efforts the collectively for the improving the environment, and we demand such type of the cooperative behavior from the individuals, businesses, and the government. So together the individuals, governments, and the private sectors will cooperate to the invention of such type of environment uh, which is feasible not for our living beings but also for the future generations. So any question from today's lecture, please free to ask from me. So I want to say thank you. I
Thank you.
really enjoyed the today's lecture,
Thank you,
and I hope, yeah, I hope you people also enjoy the today's lecture.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
definitely.
ma'am. Especially for LCA.
Okay, students, take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.